Listen and learn about executive functioning skills from your therapysource.com. Are you looking for ways to help your students with their executive functions so they can optimize their learning and growth? Executive function skills are critical in the classroom. They allow students to plan, prioritize, pay attention, and adapt to changing situations. For educators and parents, it is important to understand these skills and to learn how to best support your students in developing them. What are executive functions? Executive functions are mental processes that help us to remember, plan, problem solve, analyze, and execute tasks. They include important skills such as self-regulation, working memory, cognitive flexibility, and inhibition control. This list of executive functions will help you learn more about them. Here is a quick reminder before we get started. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this audio format about executive functioning skills. Where in the body does executive functioning take place? Executive functions take place in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. Different areas of the brain are responsible for different tasks, and the prefrontal cortex is responsible for decision-making and problem-solving. The prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until the age of 25. This helps explain why children and young adults need more support in developing executive functions. Why is executive functioning important? Executive functions help us to organize our thoughts, control our behavior, and make decisions. They are essential skills for both learning and performing daily tasks. In school, executive function skills enable students to plan their work, focus on tasks, remember instructions, and adapt to changes quickly. When students have executive functioning issues, it produces a real inability to succeed in school. Executive functioning skills. Students can develop many skills in order to improve their executive functioning ability. When students work on these skills, they are working towards better academic performances, as well as better home experiences. Special education teachers and occupational therapists can work on executive functioning skills with their students. Check out some of these free executive functioning activity worksheets to get you started. Here is a list of executive functions. Working memory. A working memory makes it possible for students to take in new information and recall it later. Students need to be able to rely on their working memory to remember instructions, complete tasks, and recall information. Self-regulation. For students to have effective self-regulation, they must be able to control their emotions, behavior, and impulses to reach a goal or complete a task. Emotional regulation. Controlling one's emotions and remaining calm. Students must be able to recognize and manage their own emotions in order to focus on tasks. Mental flexibility. For this skill, students need to be able to switch between tasks quickly and adjust as needed when presented with new information or situations. Inhibitory control. This involves students resisting temptation and staying focused on the task at hand. To improve impulse control, students must work on their inhibitory control. Planning and prioritization. Breaking down tasks into smaller steps, prioritizing them, and developing a plan of action for completing them. Time management. When students have effective time management skills, they can plan ahead and estimate how long tasks will take. They can make a schedule for themselves and meet academic deadlines effectively. Organization. This means students can arrange ideas and information in a logical way that makes sense to others. Students having difficulty organizing their thoughts or work makes it nearly impossible to accomplish complex tasks. Adaptable thinking. a student's ability to adjust one's thinking based on new information or feedback. This feedback can come from teachers, other adults, or peers. Self-monitoring. Students are able to recognize their own mistakes and adjust their behavior accordingly. Self-control. The ability to control one's own behavior and stay focused even when faced with distractions. Students can avoid the urge to do whatever they want and focus on the task at hand. Teaching executive functions for students with disabilities. Students with disabilities often have more difficulty learning executive functioning skills. It is important that teachers provide additional support to help them develop these skills. Some executive functioning strategies may include providing visual supports, breaking tasks into smaller steps, using prompts and cues, and providing feedback and scaffolding techniques. Special education teachers should also pay attention to the executive functioning IEP goals for their students. Visual supports can be a great tool for students with disabilities to help them manage their tasks and complete assignments. Examples of visual supports include task lists, calendars, and visual cues. Breaking larger tasks down into smaller manageable chunks is an effective way to help students keep track of their work and stay focused on the task at hand. Provide verbal or visual reminders to help students remember what they need to do and stay on track with their tasks. Give feedback when necessary in order to keep students motivated. Feedback gives students a sense of accomplishment when they're doing well, and a sense of what they still need to work on when they need improvement. Scaffolding is a strategy in which the teacher provides assistance and guidance to help students master certain skills. This can be done by breaking tasks into smaller steps and providing verbal or visual cues as needed. By incorporating these strategies, teachers can help students develop executive functioning skills that are essential for success in school and life. With practice and support, students with disabilities can learn to manage their time, stay organized, and become more independent learners. Let's dive into an example for at school of how you can help students with executive functioning deficitis by using chaining. Breaking tasks down into smaller chunks can be done through chaining. Chaining helps students to organize materials, plan for each step, and receive prompts when necessary to complete academic tasks and functional skills at school. What is forward chaining? When clients have difficulty achieving a goal or poor executive function skills, frequently the goal is broken down into smaller steps to work on each part at a time. When using forward chaining, the client completes the first step, a reinforcer is provided, and the adult completes the remaining steps. On the next attempt, the client completes the first two steps, receives reinforcer, and adult completes the remaining steps. This is repeated until the client can complete all the steps and achieve the goal. Example of using forward chaining in school. Many times students with executive function deficits can struggle with completing large projects. This approach can help make the task more manageable. Here is an example of using forward chaining in occupational therapy or with any school staff at school. Student needs to independently transition from the classroom to lunch. Task analysis indicates getting the lunchbox from the backpack is the first step and starting to eat lunch is the final step. Student can complete step 1, getting the lunchbox from the backpack, and receives a reinforcer. An adult or peer assists or prompts for the steps such as line up with class, walk in hallway, locate lunch table, sit in lunch table, and open lunch. On day 2, the student will get the lunch box, line up with the class, and then receive a reinforcer. Assistance continues. Day 3, student gets lunch box, lines up, walk in hallway, and then receives a reinforcer. This continues until the student is independent with the entire task. What is backward chaining? With backward chaining, the process is reversed. The adult or peer provides assistance throughout several steps until the client can complete the last steps independently. Once the last step is completed by the client, the reinforcer is provided. Example of using backward chaining in school. The goal is for the student to independently bring homework home to complete. Task analysis indicates that the first step is to write down each assignment and the last step is to pack up the backpack with the correct books, notes, etc. to complete the homework. The student must bring the homework home but cannot complete all the steps. The student would complete the last step of actually packing the backpack, but throughout the day the adult or peer would provide prompts or support to complete each earlier step. What is total task chaining? The client completes all steps with prompts and reinforcers for each step. This is used when the client can complete parts of every step, but needs some assistance and encouragement along the way to achieve the goal. Example of using total task chaining in school. The goal is for the student to independently organize and complete a large school project. Task analysis indicates that the first step is to choose a topic and the final step is to turn in the complete project. The student has the skills to complete parts of every step of the task analysis with teacher prompts. After each step is completed with the prompts, the student receives the reinforcer until the entire project is complete. When clients or students present with poor executive function skills, using chaining to achieve new skills can be very helpful. Choosing forward, backward, or total task chaining is based on each individual client or student's abilities and the skills being taught. Students with ADHD and executive functions. Students with a diagnosis of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, often struggle with executive functioning skills. Research documents the connection between ADHD and executive function. Symptoms such as impulsivity and forgetfulness can make it difficult for them to complete tasks efficiently and stay organized. It is important that teachers provide additional support and modify their instruction to help students with ADHD succeed in the classroom. Students with autism and executive functions. Students with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, often have difficulty learning and understanding executive functioning skills. These students need explicit instruction and practice in order to develop these skills. It is important that teachers provide visual supports, break tasks down into smaller steps, use prompts and cues, and provide feedback and scaffolding techniques in order to help students with autism learn executive functioning skills. Students with depression and executive functions. Students with depression often have difficulty managing their tasks and staying organized. It is important that teachers provide supportive strategies to help these students develop the executive functioning skills they need in order to succeed in school. It also is important to provide a safe and supportive environment in order for these students to be able to focus on their work. By understanding these executive function skills, parents and educators can better support their students in developing them. With a better grasp of executive functioning, teachers can create an environment where students feel comfortable taking risks, practicing self-regulation, and using their creativity to explore new ideas. This list of executive functions is a useful place for you to begin helping your students with these skills. Visit yourtherapysource.com for more resources to help students succeed at school and at home.